The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And Automotive Art Cayman. Your car, our passion.
And now,
Radio Cayman presents
The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. It is a beautiful Tuesday, June 10th, and second week of June. We've had a rough start to the month of June. Well, at least, most of my colleagues here at Radio Cayman have. Our thoughts and prayers are still with Andrew Harris and his very close friends and families and his colleagues, and it is our prayers and our hopes that he is still found safe despite some of the circumstances that are out there. Moving on from addressing the situation with Andrew Harris, don't know what else to call it but a situation right now, we're going to be talking about Cayman culture right now. And in the studio, I have custodians of the culture. I was about to say guardians of the culture, but I think it's somebody else that kind of has that phrase, guardians of the culture. And I'm most delighted to be welcoming in the studio Gordon and Alta Solomon. Gordon is a Caymanian musician and songwriter, an artist whose work embodies the rhythms and soul of island life. With a career rooted in storytelling through sound, his catalog captures both traditional influences and modern evolution in Caymanian music. Alta, also a Caymanian, is a poet and cultural advocate dedicated to preserving Caymanian heritage through words. Her poetry series, Cayman Stories, brings local narratives to life, ensuring that the island's voice remains strong and vibrant. Good morning to you both. How are you doing today?
Morning. Very well, thank you.
Excellent.
Yes.
Now, Gordon, I'm just going to start by saying when I first moved here and checking out artwork, all the different things, the arts, it was your art that really stood out to me.
Oh, really?
And I'm still planning when I have my space, God knows how that will be with the real estate market, but when I have my space to make sure I have a very particular painting that you did. It is always in my mind, and if I was ever to be anywhere in the world, that is something that I would want to show people to. It just really speaks to Cayman to me. What particular painting of yours? So you definitely strike people when it comes to through with your artistry.
Well, it's a lot of hard work, but it's fulfilling. And music is the same thing. We kind of been at this for a while.
Yeah.
When we first started. So a little history. I met Alta probably like in 1998, 99 or something like that. And at that time, I used to do like a lot of stuff with CDs in terms of when we performed, we would have like the CD playing and God help us if the CD doesn't skip because, it would spoil your performance.
Mm-hmm.
But we met in a creative environment. And one day she was singing, I was like, okay, this is probably the girl that I need to be working with.
Okay.
And our first album, Lamb and Lion, we did in 2006. I got to make sure it's 2006 or 2008. But the children were very young, and Ari was she was probably
2008.
2008. So our little girl was.
I was pregnant with Ari.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we used to have like
squeezing into the sound booth.
we used to have like the sound booth,
It has
right?
to be a tiny sound.
No, it was like a homemade one.
Okay,
Right?
gotcha.
So a little corner.
Yeah.
We actually still have the sound booth.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope it's a little bigger now.
We broke it down and shipped it to the bride.
And I guess over time we realized that we had this potential then, right? But like with most things in life, you have your challenges.
Yeah.
Getting people to work together, getting songs arranged, and so most of this took time. I'd say we probably produced The Lamb and Lion within probably 2 years. And so we were working with Ben Hudson. I think he worked on the first 2 albums. He worked on Solid Rock with us, and he was our producer during those 2 albums. Mr. Gregory G.
Yeah.
He was also our engineer on the Winds and Waters, and he was also our engineer on Age of Innocence. So we had a team of people. We managed to get a team of people together. We managed to get some good musicians. Sean Hennings did the drumming. We had Sam Rose. He primarily does the bass for us.
Wait, he plays bass as well?
He plays everything.
He plays everything.
What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, Samuel plays everything.
Okay. All right, Capsec.
We had we had Randy Shillette. We had him on the Caboose album. He's featured on that one, as well as some other songs as well.
David Ebanks.
Jonathan Ebanks. He, in particular, some of the stuff that we did on the Winds and Waters. Alta has a song there, 2 songs, Lost at Sea and Cayman Sky. Cayman Sky. So Jonathan is doing the work on I Will Work as well.
Okay.
They helped me produce that, whatever year that was. But we've been working on. More steps back, because I only recently learned that Mr. Kitchener Solomon, Caymanian musician, he's actually my grand uncle. And I'm kind of wondering in my life, where do I get all this music stuff from? Because it's not like I got it from my father, my mother, right? But it's just through my lineage. Mr. Kitchener used to do Cayman traditional music as well. His daughters are Sanovia and Miss Tatum. Miss Tatum used to play in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So every Saturday, I would hear Miss Tatum playing in Rockwell. Just a whole ambience of different sounds going on, but you can always hear her playing her spiritual music
Down the road,
right? And so we were kind of like in this. I won't want to say germination, but we were in this soil then. We were all developing in this soil together. And basically this is what has come out from that time. We managed to put together 7 albums. The final one that we have now, Mansion, we actually did that in 2019, before the lockdown. Lockdown came, everything stopped. And so we only just managed to get it released last year.
Okay.
So some of this music thing is not just like kind of straightforward. You kind of have to, there are teams of people, your producer, your writer, your whoever's going to publish for you, whoever's going to print the CDs for you, who's going to do the distribution for you. And over time, we kind of had to wind up doing a lot of this on our own. Thanks for social media and different platforms, because when we started, MySpace was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
We might be aging ourselves right here with that, but yes, it was a thing.
But we used the tools, and I was fortunate to sit behind a lot of great guys. Patrick Lopez, he was one of our producers as well, including Ben. The Mansion Project and the Age of Innocence we did with Jason Gilbert.
Okay.
Right?
I have a question, though. When you said 2019, everything, I mean, that's when Mansion was pretty much recorded, produced, but you weren't.
No, we recorded.
Okay.
Mona came into the studio.
Was Mona Mead?
Mona Mead, yeah, M&M's. And,
M&M's?
Yeah.
I didn't know any about. I'm going to tease her now with this, yes.
And so it's me, Sean, Alta, Mona, Greg G in the studio. And we lay it down.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the lockdown came, and so a lot of delays. but I was fortunate to sit behind.
What was it about lockdown that stopped? Because for a
2020,
lot of people, it brought out some creative stuff. It allowed them to work on passion projects or certain things. But for you, why did it kind of delay the release of Mansion?
I think just getting together with the other important parts of it, because you have to,
Right.
like,
We had rules.
there's a creativeness in also being face to face and moving forward with things like that. And I think for Gordon during lockdown, he did a lot more painting and creating. I did a lot of writing. It was awesome. I know it was really hard for a lot of people, but I think sometimes for creatives, it actually gives you time, because we had nothing else to do other than garden and create music and paint, and so that was a really important time in our lives, even though it was a really hard time.
What we had to do was we had to give the mansion a break, right? So we laid down the foundation. All right, so we're in the lockdown now, and I and Alta and I are basically at home, and I'm saying, all right, we have a body of work, and so what we did during the lockdown, we did this album. It's
Good Enough to Eat.
Good Enough to Eat, and it's basically poetry and music. So while we were waiting on, what was I waiting on? I was just waiting on somebody to get me the music for the mansion, but in the meantime, it didn't stop the creativity, right? And so this is where we're at now.
So Mansion, not Mansion, but Good Enough to Eat is basically a collection of poems that I'd written. Gordon took the poems and recreated them with music. So he wrote music for each poem. He had a lot of time. He's a very creative guy to keep his mind in order. So he did all of the musical background for it. And then I laid the words, basically. Because as creatives, too, I think a lot of us will realize that sometimes you're pushed to create, and sometimes it just naturally comes to you.
Absolutely.
And we have, like, sometimes stacks of papers and books of poems or songs, and Gordon was like, okay, I think we need to do something with this. And he's really the push behind me. I just write, and if it wasn't for him, he's like the engine, right? He's the pushing and the pulling sometimes. So that at the end of it, I was like, I feel so good that I've actually done something with these poems, and then I just catching dust, as they would say in the corner. But they're really my thought process at a certain period in my life, and
you captured that.
And to kind of get that audibly, that I can hear it back. Sometimes it's very cleansing. Like when you do your work, sometimes I'll write a poem. Just the other day we were sitting down and I said, oh, I can remember I wrote this poem, but I didn't go back and read it. So then when I went back and I read it, it was like, oh snap, I wrote that. You realize, like, you gave yourself a break, but you kind of refresh yourself. And I think a lot of us have that creativity in us, but we're so busy. And I think if in a message that anyone goes away from today is that you need to give yourself time to breathe, to stop answering the phones and checking WhatsApps and checking all the social, and I'm guilty of that too. Me too. My guilty pleasure is playing one of those little games on my phone, but the creativity part, if we just like settle our minds, and I think especially in Cayman too, there's that time to breathe and to kind of create and have your own space where you can create. And then, we come to Grand Cayman and we meet up with all of the other powerful musical creative minds, and then that takes you to another step.
Right.
So it's been wonderful to see how your works can progress and become something else.
I like how you described a bit of your creative process here, because I think it's a really beautiful thing that you are married, you have children together, you are creatives, and Gordon is able to see the strengths in you and how to pull them out and create something more together. You're able to see how you can pull some things out of him and, as I just said, create something more together. That is such a rare occurrence that happens in life. Never, I mean, sometimes already you're like, okay, I'm tired of seeing you right now.
Yeah,
right?
there are times where we literally need a break from each other.
But we live and kind of work together in
Yeah.
that sense. And it's a really beautiful thing. But you guys have been producing so much, doing so much. And it's a huge inspiration, I think, to people. It definitely leaves a mark. We have to go to a commercial break right now. But when we come back, I want to go back to how the response has been from people who have either engaged with your artistry, Gordon, your music, or your writings as well, Alta. I want to hear what people have said to say, how that has also kind of maybe influenced them and driven them to explore their creative paths. We got to go to commercial break right now.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Nesta Alexandria Ebanks, 1901 through 1997. Miss Nesta, or Aunt Nettie as her relatives and neighbors called her, was involved in the religious and social life of her community from an early age. She had many talents. She wrote debates and composed poems, one of which was set to music and is still sung in church. She held high office in various organizations. She visited the sick and shut-in. When there were no satin-lined caskets available, she used the traditional methods of pinking the sheet, making beautiful coverings for the coffins, designed with just scissors. She taught classes of mathematics and English to neighbors and friends when there were few schools. Although she never married, she single-handedly raised one of her grandnieces whose mother died in childbirth. She was also a nurse and invented various medicines.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Cruise into summer with expert service from Automotive Art Cayman. More than a retail store, it's your one-stop auto care shop. We offer paint, detailing, accessories, wheels, Yamaha parts and products, batteries, tire repairs, tire changes, and more. Need top-tier shine and protection? Grab Gliptone detailing gear, Chevron synthetic oil, and Axiom car care kits. Get expert service with premium products all under one roof. Wherever you cruise, make your pit stop at Automotive Art first. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. And in studio, I have custodians of the culture. We have Gordon Solomon and Alta Solomon. And we are talking about really music when it comes down to it. We were talking about Mansion, which was released in 2024. It's their latest album. It's their seventh album. Did I get that right? 7? Because you said I was like 7 albums, which is pretty amazing. And before the break, I said I was going to ask a question. So I'm coming back to that question, which is, how have people received your artistry? Whether it's your music, whether it's your paintings, whether it's your poetry. How has that influenced them or that they've shared with you?
Well, we make our music available. We have physical CDs.
Mm-hmm.
We have online platforms that people can buy our music. That would be like Reverb Nation. We have also Hear It Now. So we have digital and we have physical. How has that been received by people? We're not kind of, we don't kind of go out and play that much. So we kind of have to depend on social media and our ads. We recently started doing more promotions of our albums because most of the time we've been either recording or, trying to get some live shows.
Mm-hmm.
I recently had some younger youths tell me that they appreciate my music, our music. I'm talking about teenagers.
But you appreciate that. Are you surprised? You seem kind of surprised.
Of course, I mean it's because the music is for children. If I think about the catalog, right, and it's good to see that a generation can see that and appreciate that. Because when I started, it was I was fumbling, trying to figure out. Like I said, I was trying to juggle many things.
Mm-hmm.
But in particular now, and how do people grasp this?
Mm-hmm.
How do they get this? What avenue? But once we got it out there, we got some tractions outside of here. We used our CD Baby. And when we looked at some of the places and the analytics of where the music was going, it was like, okay, my music is in Canada, my music is in, just like different places. But we didn't push to try to be spotlighters. Right?
Okay.
Like I say, we got children, we got life to live.
I think for me, mostly too, when I approach this, I approach it from a very personal, well, I guess most artists do, space where I was sitting and thinking one day, and Gordon actually this was early on in our relationship, we had a little cassette recorder, the little ones with a little tiny cassettes.
Of course.
And we recorded my grandaunt, and she was saying a poem that she found in Northside when she was a child, before she moved to Little Cayman, and she still recalled it, right? And she would say that to me as a child, and now I know the poem, right? And I started to think about how awesome it is that I have this little tape and I can click it and I can hear her voice, right? Mm-hmm. And I started to think about our children. So if no one else in the world wants to listen to it, our children have this catalog of us as we grew as people, while I was pregnant with one of them, or like just our mindset as we move through life.
As you evolve.
And I just thought, like, for me, that would have been an awesome kind of thing if I had that from my parents or my grandparents, and if at the end of the day it's for them and their generations, then that's enough for me.
That's a beautiful perspective.
Yeah. But what she's not saying to you is that
what is it?
On the Solid Rock album, we actually recorded that poem. So the same poem that she's talking about in the cassette. Mm-hmm. The old years long campaign is over. Behold, the new has begun. Not yet is closed the holy war. Not yet the triumph won. Out of his calm and deep repose, we hear the old years say, Go forth to meet your foes, you children of the day. Go forth, firm faith in every heart, bright hope on every helm. Through this shall pierce,
no fire it hearts,
and this no fair overwhelm. And so, I got some minor chords, major, what's that, the E minor, and Sam, he just loves this. Sam, he calls it almost like a war anthem or something. But it was birthed from this poem. It was birthed from a simple
that my grandaunt had found.
Yeah, it's somebody passed it on to her. She kind of passed it on to me. It became a song. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pass it on to the world now.
Yeah.
And Sam, he's just in heaven and he's jamming with that song.
So again, back to your point, where you asked, what do people get from? We don't know sometimes, and then sometimes, like what Gordon is saying, Samuel Rose loved that song, and like you can hear he loved it when you hear the song and how he played to it, and just I think people too, as Caymanians too, we have a legacy of storytelling, right? And I think we want to use our talents to do that, to record, so for lack of a better term, we're not forgotten. So our generations will have that when they're coming along, great grandchildren, whatever. But just, I know sometimes I have many poems, but I think the ones I love the most are my children's poems, and some of them are very giggly, and to like recite it. And you get in character and you recite it in front of kids and they laugh at it. It's like this joy, like that kind of bubbles up. Like you use your talent to get an effect sometimes, right? And sometimes you don't. But for me, when I hear my poems recited at NCFA, the National Children's Festival of the Arts, like it's like this, I feel something blossoming inside me. Like, I gotta go home and write again.
It's endearing.
Yeah.
So you shared some of your art and the younger generation picked it up and you hear them performing it, reciting it.
Yeah.
And that inspiration comes right back to you. It's just a cycle.
Yeah.
We only have a minute left, guys, which is crazy. This has not been long at all. I could have you on for the whole show.
Okay.
We're almost done?
Yes, 1 minute. So I have to say if there's any final thoughts, anything you want to tell our listeners.
Because she's going to be releasing some poetry for your segment on Saturdays, your Cayman stories, and so we have them lined up for you.
Yes, and she sent as well. So, received.
Good Manners for Porridge. This is about my daughter, by the way. Okay. I just want to say, keep creating, whoever you are out there. Creation comes in many different forms. It's a part of you, and it can become a part of the wider community. So just use your talents in a very mindful way and express yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Gordon, any other last words from you?
She has the last one.
She had them. Okay, I like that.
Me too.
I need to have you guys back on very soon because this was almost like an introduction.
It is.
This is not.
It is.
We barely touch things here, and I need a much longer conversation time with you guys.
I say come over to the brag.
Well, we do come over to the brag, but that is an excellent invite to have a show with you guys on there in the brag for sure.
We have a studio over there. So.
Oh, well, Norma, you hear this? I hope she's listening. Dean, you hear this? Dean's our engineer. He'd be delighted. So thank you. We have to go to the 8 a.m. news, but we're going to carry this conversation. So this is just this is an intro. It's not even, we haven't hit chapter 1 of this conversation. We're going to carry it in the very near future again because there's way more. I have so many questions for you guys. There's way more I want to talk about. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to go to the 8 a.m. news right now.
Thank you, Kathy. And studio time by Foster's is 8:01.
It's time to start preparing for this year's hurricane season, and Foster's has the essentials you need to weather a storm.
Stock up on canned goods, non-perishable foods, water, health and first aid items, pet supplies, flashlights, and other hurricane kit essentials.
Start preparing now using our online hurricane guide and emergency checklist. Just head to fosters.ky for more info. You can also follow us at Foster's Cayman on Facebook and Instagram for helpful tips throughout the season.
Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Some good news for East End. Construction on the dock by Heritage Field officially kicked off on Monday.
I know it's been something that the East End people have been waiting for quite some time, and I'm glad that they just spared a little time with us to make sure that we could see the delivery of this to get to the end.
Speaking on Radio Cayman, Planning Minister the Honourable J. Ebanks says he's also been, quote, reliably informed that the Lobster Pot dock has been completed as well. And the Public Procurement Committee has given the green light to get started on the long-awaited Morgan's Harbour dock in West Bay.
So we should be out there shortly doing the groundbreaking for that too, to get that dock off and going now. And I know my West Bay people out there will be very happy because that's one thing I was getting calls from, not only from ministers but from a lot of the boat owners, boat operators, tour operators asking about that dock. So now I've got everything in my hand now. So now we have the ability to move forward now to get the dock started.
Speaking of planning matters, the CPA is meeting tomorrow. One of the scheduled appearances is for a 16-lot subdivision on Hutland Road in North Side. This project has been flagged by the Department of Environment as there may be an adverse effect, namely on the mangroves at the site, which are protected species in the Cayman Islands. The Central Planning Authority will also discuss an application to replace a garden wall near the coastline at the Song of Wren on West Bay Road. This project has also been clocked by the DOE as the site is environmentally sensitive because it is designated as critical habitat for sea turtle nesting and adjacent to a marine protected area. Same goes for an application for a retaining wall on Water Key and Rum Point, which has the potential to adversely affect the North Sound East Marine Reserve. The National Conservation Council, quote, strongly recommends that the applicant revise its plans and relocate the proposed retaining wall further landward. Green Lodge Cayman Limited has an uncontested application for consideration tomorrow. 64 apartments, a gym, clubhouse, 4 cabanas, and a swimming pool on Flintstone Drive in Boddentown. This development has also triggered the DOE as it could negatively impact mangroves. There's also a pitch for a 44-lot subdivision east of Farm Road and East End. And Cricket Square is looking to add 48 additional parking spaces to the existing 1,985 it already has. You can find the full agenda for tomorrow's meeting online at planning.ky. And the Ministry of Education and Training is upskilling local educators. As Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Salins reports, the ministry has kicked off its capacity-building workshop series designed to strengthen leadership within private schools.
This initiative aims to enhance school leaders' skills in driving continuous improvement, self-evaluation, and collaboration aligned with the Office of Education Standards, Performance Standards, and ministry policies. A total of 19 schools were represented by their leaders at the launch event, underscoring a strong commitment across the private education sector to leadership development and school improvement. The workshop series was spearheaded by Anthony Aline, Senior School Improvement Officer for Private Schools, in collaboration with various units within the ministry. Mr. Aline initiated the program after identifying a clear need to better support both new and experienced principals in navigating the OES inspection process and driving sustainable school improvement. Over a 15-month period, the workshops will cover critical topics including data-driven school improvement, support for students with additional learning support needs and special educational needs and disabilities, quality teaching and learning practices, measuring student attainment and progress, and best practices in mathematics instruction. The launch event provided an open forum for school leaders to offer feedback on the workshop schedule, ask questions, and build connections with colleagues and key ministry personnel. Attendees also heard presentations from partners such as the Department of Children and Family Services and the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. I'm Felicia Rankin-Salins.
For more, you can head to gov.ky/education. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Govinda Gill. 20 people are believed to have been killed in another shooting in Gaza. The BBC's been told Israeli quadcopters opened fire as people tried to steal flour from an aid convoy while it was in a high-risk zone. Separately, 3 people were killed near a US and Israeli-backed aid distribution centre. The mayor of the Austrian city of Graz says at least 9 people have been killed in a shooting at a secondary school. 7 of those dead are thought to be students at the school. The suspect is said to be a pupil. BBC News with Govinda Gill.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the past 10 years, Health City Cayman Islands has been providing a comprehensive range of in-house medical services, from routine care to highly complex surgeries. We've transformed healthcare in the region, saving thousands of lives in the process. Recognized for quality and excellence, Health City brings together expert doctors, the best technology, and the latest techniques to provide world-class healthcare to those who need it. Health City Cayman Islands, a decade of healing.
Biggest variety in the morning.
RC Fusion.
Following the 10 a.m. news headline.
Brought to you by TCE Paint Shop, 27 Godfrey Dixon Way.
RC Fusion.
And My Kinda Cleaners. Call or WhatsApp 326-3379 for your free quote today. Biggest variety in the morning. Radio Cayman. The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 85 degrees. Relative humidity is 93%. The barometric pressure 30.00 inches and rising. The wind is east, it's 8 knots. Overnight low was 81 degrees. Synopsis indicate light southeasterly winds and seas are expected for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area, moving towards the west. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with the heat index near 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to southeast, 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. We're presently at a high tide, and the next low tide will be this afternoon at 4 minutes past 3. High tide again tonight at 10:17. The sun will set this evening at 2 minutes after 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:48. And the outlook is calling for a plume of Saharan dust expected to drift over the western Caribbean by tomorrow morning. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos.
Oh, Lordy. Janelle? From spring break 08?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Britke. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britke, where people come first. The 24th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Joy, is here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 29th at the Hawkwill Theatre. Proudly sponsored by Rainbow Realty, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, NCB Group, Burger King, CUC, Mitsubishi, A.L. Thompson's, McRoss, Caymanian Times, and Radio Cayman. Tickets cost $15 CI prepaid and $20 at the gate. And available from the #1 shoe shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Talent Exposition of the Arts, hosted by Anika Connolly and Lloyd Barker. Part proceeds from this event to benefit the Foundation Educational Development Training Program of the Arts.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its Cayman Brac customers of a planned service interruption on the south side of the island. The interruption will take place on Friday, 13th June 2025 from midnight to 4 a.m. and will impact Southside Road West, Gerard Smith Avenue, including all side roads, the southern section of Cross Road, beginning at the intersection with Gerard Smith Avenue and extending towards the airport. This interruption will take place to facilitate distribution system tests. The motoring public is asked to be cautious while driving in the area, as our crew will be actively working on the road during this time. The Water Authority apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause and appreciates the public's understanding.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look at what's happening on the roads. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, steady traffic. Slow-moving traffic on Cool Road heading to Georgetown. Further up on Shamrock Road, traffic is moving on moderately as you approach the Linford-Pearson Highway. Looks like it's flowing moderate at the moment. Further down, little steady traffic coming off of Agnes Way and Bobby Thompson Way. Downtown Georgetown, not looking too bad on Edward Street as traffic is light to moderate, as well as on Owen Roberts Drive. Coming from the West Bay four-way stop, flowing moderately, and free-flowing traffic on the West Bay Road, especially in front of the Ritz in both directions. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is flowing at a good pace. And that's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12, we'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. And on this segment of the show, we are talking with Hazard Management Cayman Islands. Now, I told you last Thursday when I had them on as well, they're going to be back today. And it's all because we're trying to get the message out as much as possible about Preparedness Month. We know that hurricane season began a week ago Sunday, I think. At least I think that was when June 1st was. And Preparedness Month has been from all of May up until the second week of June, which is this week. So, welcoming to the studio, I have Mr. Jace Wilson from HSA. And I didn't get your title, Jace, if you could.
Good morning. Good morning to the listening and the viewing audience. Jace Wilson here. I am the cluster chair for the Human Concerns Cluster.
What?
For the National Emergency Operations Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to totally have to break down that title in a second.
Okay.
Also joining, we have Graham Peck. He is the Disaster Management of the Cayman Islands Red Cross. And Jameel Huggins from Hazard Management Cayman Islands. He's the Operations, Response, and Logistics Support Services. Did I get that right?
Officer.
Operations,
right. Response, and Logistics Officer.
Officer. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Welcome to the studio this morning, gentlemen. How are we all doing today?
Good morning. Good.
Morning, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Good morning.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's a big deal, right? We've been talking about Preparedness Month. I love how, first I'm going to just say, give her props right now. I love how Aaliyah at Hazard Management has broken down the different conversations for us to have when it comes to Preparedness Month. So props to Aaliyah. And Jameel, I'm going to turn it over to you right now. If you could give us an overview of Preparedness Month, why it's especially important this year.
Well, first I would like to say Preparedness Month is especially important every year. But this year we decided to extend it an extra 2 weeks because we saw the importance of, pushing this preparation, this culture of readiness and preparation within the population. And what we also observed is that there has been a positive response from the community, from the population. So we say, all right, let's continue going out into the communities, going out into the stores, going out into the groceries to have that great impact. So that's the main rule.
Okay, extending it by a couple of weeks. I don't know if you were here last year.
No.
Okay.
Only recently started.
So Beryl hit us. I can't remember the exact date, but that was the beginning of June. If I have that, but anybody help my memory here?
July.
No way, it happened in June.
No. I think I just looked at my phone because again everything just kind of blends into one, right? But I looked at my phone and I want to say June 4th.
Yeah.
We were actually in Government Admin Building because I have a video of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was the beginning of June for sure.
It was really early in June.
Right at the start of hurricane season, and I think we were all just kind of like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. What just happened there?
Yeah. So I don't know if were you in the Caribbean at all?
Yes.
Okay. So you know what Beryl was like in that sense, or the threat of it. So I don't know, curious then. I know you weren't in Cayman necessarily, but do you know if it's because of Beryl kind of hitting us really fast, really so soon into the season, like right away? We just welcome the season. That's part of the reason why Hazard Management said, you know what, let's extend this a little bit, because a lot of us weren't prepared.
I don't know if that's the reason, so I won't answer, but having worked throughout the Caribbean region and working at HMCI, I can confirm HMCI has a world-class standard as it relates to preparation. So I don't think it would have been for that. I think it would have been more for navigating and understanding the response of the community as it relates to the wants and need. So what we would have done is try to understand what are the needs of the community and the community asks for more information concerning preparation.
Correct.
And because of that needs in accordance with Sendai framework, that's the international framework, we would have realized that we needed stakeholder collaboration. This is part of stakeholder collaboration. And we'd have realized that we need to reach out to the community more often. So it's not just about doing pop-ups. What we did, we had shelter management training. We had stakeholder engagements, but persons would just see the pop-ups. But we had a lot of activities, May and June, to make sure that the community is fully prepared.
Now, speaking of pop-ups, you have, I guess it's your final one for Preparedness Month.
Yeah.
You have one happening, is it the 14th of June at Hurley's?
14th of June, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what can people expect there? What time does the pop-up take place?
It's usually from 9 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And usually what we would do, we would have the team there. And we tend to focus on the most important aspects of preparedness. What you need to do before, during, after. And we also focus on an important aspect like where the shelters is located, and also very, very important, misinformation. So we want persons to understand that you need to get your information from reliable sources, because we don't want any mass hysteria. We don't want any miscommunication. We don't want any negative public risk perception. So what we tend to do is to ensure that the community and stakeholders could have faith in HMCI by building that trust. So once they see us there, they know that we are doing what needs to be done.
And from your time so far in Cayman, who are these reliable sources of news?
Reliable sources of news, obviously, it will be, well, first we need to understand how the structure works.
Okay.
National Weather Service, they would be the ones who would give us the information. And you also look for information from HMCI and the government websites and social media pages. And then what we would do, we would share it to you all, for example, Radio Cayman and all these other agencies. But whenever anyone is looking for information, always check reliable information, reliable sources. So go on the government administration website, go on HMCI website, you could go on HSA, you could go on Radio Cayman, and you all will tend to share the information from us.
Yep.
So it will be like you are a secondary media communicator. So that was secondary medium. So that's what we look at. But as it relates to direct information, National Weather Service, HMCI, government information systems, government communications, those are the things people should be looking for on our social media pages.
Okay, wonderful. I love how you answered that, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we're turning to the stakeholders now. And Jace, I got to say that I was like, what? When you you said the title of your role, which, you're going to repeat, because part of the topic of this morning's conversation is human concerns and public shelters, human concern clusters. I've never heard of this phrase before, so I don't know if I was just completely tuned out, but what is a human concern cluster?
Okay. So for the listening and viewing audience, the human concerns cluster, within the NUOC, we have a variety of different clusters, and you'll hear us say it. I'm not sure if we're the first ones on. Do we get the honor and privilege of being the first on to Radio Cayman? Those coming after us, you'll hear of the support services cluster. You'll also hear of the emergency response services cluster. That's all the blue light entities, so to speak, along with the Cayman Islands Regiment, Cayman Islands Coast Guard. But for us, human concerns, it is made up of our voluntary agencies, so such as Red Cross, and we have other entities under that. Medical relief services, which are the three big medical facilities on island, along with additional stakeholders. So we have Health Services Authority, we have Health City Cayman Islands, we have Doctors Hospital, and then we also have a collaboration with the Cayman Islands Medical and Dental Society. So everyone kind of pitches together in that sense so that we have the best possible healthcare or medical relief after or during any type of event. We have mass fatalities. That's a topic that no one really wants to talk about. But unfortunately, if we do have a significant incident or significant event here, it is something that we have to think about. So we have to plan for that, and we have to have contingencies for that. Mental health. We actually have a dedicated program for before, during, and after any type of event. We have dedicated mental health teams that stand up a mental health hotline. They go in and out throughout the community. They're in shelters. They're essentially everywhere. And then we have shelter operations. I think that's the main topic where we're here today. So that is to discuss, or that is in order to say that's 19 shelters across the Cayman Islands, where we have voluntary agencies along with persons from the regiment, the Red Cross, our community emergency response teams, CERT, along with a host of other volunteers that actually manned our shelters during an emergency event itself. So Human Concerns Cluster makes up pretty much that whole gamut, as I just said, and it's very dynamic, very dynamic.
And you're the chair of this cluster. That's a pretty big responsibility right there.
It is, yeah.
All right. I'm going to turn to you now, Graham. So shelter management was a key thing that Jace had just mentioned. So can you break down the Red Cross's role during a hurricane, how you work together with hazard management and the other stakeholders?
Oh, absolutely. Just to bring up on the preparedness side, I need to add that the Red Cross works very closely with HMCI, and we have actually been going around the schools and businesses doing presentations on preparedness and response to disasters. So I think we've done over 14 to date, and nearly 1,000 school children. So
that's amazing.
What
is their response when you come in?
They're really excited. They especially love the earthquake drill.
Okay.
And the children are so good at it. They're well prepared. The schools have got them very well prepared. We had a big drill recently, and the schools were excellent. Yeah. So in the Human Concerns Cluster, the Red Cross role is we actually have our own shelter managers that we train up. We've just trained up another 54. Some of those are refreshers from last year. These all have first aid qualifications as well. And we actually allocate 3 of these to all the government shelters to back up the government shelter manager. Mm-hmm. We also have the Red Cross shelter, which is the only independent shelter on the island. It's always the first one to open. Mm-hmm. We get a call from HMCI, any kind of disaster or whatever, please, can you open the shelter, while they're assessing whether they're going to do a partial opening of all the other shelters or not. So we're always the first on the scene. We have over 200 volunteers ready to step in and back up wherever needed with the Human Concerns Cluster. And my role in the Human Concerns is actually I chair the volunteer agencies as well. So post-disaster for distribution, logistics, etc. This is like the Rotaries, Kiwanis, Lions Club. I control or chair that, so we don't send everybody to one place. We can actually distribute it around the island. So apart from and then we have the Red Cross itself has we have 9 containers around Grand Cayman. We have 2 in Cayman Brac and 1 in Little Cayman, act as like storage warehouses. They're all strategically placed, and inside there we have basic post-hurricane supplies, tarpaulins, cleanup kits, etc.
Okay, got it. 19 shelters, right? I think that's what you had mentioned.
19 shelters.
And Red Cross is the only independent one.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned that you just went through shelter training. I can't remember how many you said. Did you say 54? Is newly trained people, at least through this last session that you had. What's involved in the training?
We do, it's a whole 2 evenings, 2 long evenings. The first evening we actually do expectations. If you're going to have to run back for your children and everything, perhaps this isn't for you. You need to be on a 24-hour call. So we actually go through the whole points of shelter management, what is required, the checking in, which is the most important. The most important thing is keeping a log of people coming in, when they're leaving, when they're going out, when they're coming, and if they come back again as well. Because the most important thing of that is when it comes to missing persons, we can actually trace where they were, where their last location was, from which shelter they were in while they left at 12 p.m.
I didn't know that. So is that considered? I can understand registering people when they're coming into a shelter. You want to make sure, okay, we know people are here in case family, friends, colleagues are looking for them, right? That's understandable. But if they're like, okay, I'm going to check on my house, or I'm going to check on the person down the road or whatever, they kind of have to sign out.
They have to sign out, yes, if they go outside, because there's no smoking and there's no alcohol. So if they have to have a cigarette, they can go outside. But at a certain point in the storm, there's a complete lockdown. And the doors are locked and nobody's allowed to leave or enter. It's interesting to note as well, emergency services, once the winds get over 40 miles an hour sustained, emergency services can't go out on the roads. So that's where the shelters then start thinking about going into lockdown as well, because you don't want people out on the roads. If emergency services can't go out, why do you want other people saying, oh, I'm going to go back to my house?
Okay.
Because that's when you could end up having a missing person later on down the line.
Right, that's true. That makes sense. Okay, now you both had mentioned the kind of mental health and psychological support that's offered at the shelters. That's a huge deal right now, just period. We've seen over the years, over the past few years, we've seen a lot more support when it comes to mental health, a lot more understanding of it. Can you tell us what kind of procedures you do have in place?
Part of the shelter management training is a mental health training session as well, which is done with our children's support agency, Dr. Shreya. So, and I think you have, Dibna does yours, doesn't she? And she also comes to, we have the certs as well, which I'll let you explain about the certs.
What kind of, yes,
the community emergency response teams. These are run by the HMCI.
Okay.
But we also help train those as well with HMCI.
But I just want to touch back on the mental health training. When it comes to that, because it's such a vast, deep subject.
Yeah, topic.
So what kind of training for mental health do you give people who are not, professionals? This isn't their career.
So if I could speak to that. So our full-time volunteers that we have, so to speak, for mental health, they're all nursing professionals, mental health professionals that are currently within our community. We also have kind of a reach back system where we have persons that are not on island that would also man those emergency mental health lines, as you mentioned initially. So these are all trained professional individuals. Now, as Mr. Graham was saying, we do have some individuals within the community that has like basic training in the sense of, hey, we can tell that something's not right with Jace today. And then they would be able to say, hey, Nurse Dipna, someone else, can you just do a further assessment of this person? So that is the level of training that we have. So we have persons that are trained to a very basic level. They could recognize certain subtle cues of an individual that maybe just perform an initial assessment. And then from there, you'll have a clinician, a clinically trained person come in and, take over from there.
Okay. So I'm correct to say that every shelter has somebody who has a bit of training in mental health.
Correct.
I think that's so important and super vital because, we don't know if we're losing everything in the moment a storm hits.
I just want to put a little plug there. So we made sure, and Nurse Dipna, she's the deputy chair of the Human Concerns Cluster, right? So we made sure that every shelter had one of those individuals that they were trained to, whether it's a basic level. We have some that are medical shelters that have nurses, doctors, and physicians, and they'll have a physical nurse there or even a psychiatrist there on site. However, we were going through a storm once and we're at government admin. And, it was just a discussion amongst ourselves. Like, what? I'm feeling a bit stressed right now. We're just talking amongst ourselves. And then it was like, so we've distributed all this help and support to the shelters, and there's none here at government admin. So following that, we've also made sure that for all the team, we also have that help and assistant at government admin as well.
Okay, excellent. We got to go to commercial break right now. Quick commercial break. When we come back, we will continue our discussion.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Summer's heating up and the water's calling. From cruising the coast in your boat to riding Yamaha Wave Runners, Automotive Art Cayman will get you ready. We offer expert servicing by Yamaha certified staff as well as engine repairs, performance upgrades, engine and electrical installation, and more. Need it tuned, cleaned, repaired, or race ready? We'll keep you running smooth, whether you're riding waves or racing them. Trust Automotive Art for expert service and upgrades. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto RKY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
We are in the hurricane season, and knowing what to do after a hurricane can be as important as preparing for the storm. After the passage of a hurricane, seek medical attention if it is needed at hospitals and clinics for those persons who are injured. Do not touch power lines and cables that are down. They may be active. Report them to 911 or the utilities emergency hotlines. Broken tree limbs should be removed from around homes or buildings if possible. This hurricane information has been brought to you by Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about the human concern clusters and public shelters. Yes, I got the thumbs up when it comes to hurricane season. And this is a discussion that was organized by Hazard Management Cayman Islands in regards to Preparedness Month, which was May and the first 2 weeks of June. You know, I was about to say August. So first 2 weeks of June, we had mentioned that, Jameel had said that they will, from Hazard Management, said that Hazard Management will be at Hurley's on June 14th. They do a bit of a pop-up where they help people get prepared. They're providing information. You have some of the stakeholders joining you at those pop-ups, do you, Jameel? No? Okay. But you're able to provide all the information that people need to know. Okay, great. So in encouraging them, especially at places like Hurley's or the home kind of hardware places where you know you're going in to buy stuff. So there's a reminder, hey guys, don't forget. Because man, when we got hit last year, earlier with Beryl, that was the most frightening experience when it comes to a hurricane for me. I was not here during Ivan. Been here for Paloma and a whole bunch of other ones, but they didn't affect Grand Cayman so much. So when it was projected that it was going to be a Cat 5, maybe a Cat 4, could be a Cat 5 hitting Cayman, I completely lost my mind because I wasn't ready. I just didn't think these storms come a little later. They come like late August, September, October. We're finding them like the real big strong ones coming a little later in the season. So I was not prepared. So for anybody that really had a wake-up call, I definitely had one. Mm-hmm. And I knew where I packed up my apartment upstairs and I said, okay, I'm never going to see you again. And that was literally, I'm never going to see you again. And I took a couple suitcases and packed it up with whatever that I just wanted to keep. Came to Radio Cayman because we're expected to be here, but also I want to be here because it's such an important time to be able to be part of the support here that does disseminate information that we are receiving from Hazard Management or the National Weather Service or some other government agency. So in saying all that, I almost lost my mind just out of fear that I was going to lose everything. And who's just joined us in studio right now is actually Marcia Thompson. She's also with the Cayman Islands Red Cross. Yes. And she was just saying in the commercial break that it was probably last year was the biggest year that when you had shelters.
Years we've had
for mental health stuff.
Good morning, everyone in studio. Thank you for having me and for representing the Cayman Islands Red Cross. And as I was saying before, it started very early last year. And what we notice in the patterns are it's earlier and earlier and earlier, which is more scary because Barry, like you said, came unexpectedly. We were ready to some extent, I would say. Hazard Management was. I know the Cayman Islands Red Cross was because, as you know, we're the first shelter to be open. We have volunteers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Proud to say. And I'm including in that too as well. Because as you know, I am the shelter manager for the Cayman Islands Red Cross. So once HMCI sends a notice to say, can you open? We go, yes, we can. Mm-hmm. So just to put that out there. So
Yeah, that's
so
what Graham
you know.
said as well, yeah. You're the first to open, really.
We are usually the first to open in any disaster, as a matter of fact. It's not just the hurricane season, it's whatever the government thinks that is going to warrant a shelter.
Yeah.
So we are usually the first to be open.
Yes.
Right?
Floods, fires, anything like
You
that.
name it. You name it. Even fires, even home fires. Right? Because we did that last year too as well. That was also in the mix of the hurricane season last year. So, it's talking about being prepared, not only for disasters or hurricanes, but that disasters on a whole.
Yeah, other disasters. Right? How does the Red Cross and other shelters, how do you guys prepare for hurricane season? And what should residents really know before going to a shelter?
All right, going to a shelter that's the start. That's how you start mentally. If you know you live in a flood zone area, that's one of the first things you need to know. What is happening in your area? Is it a flood zone area? You say, okay, fine, yes it is. That's your first step. Who can I stay with? Do I have any friends who I can go to? And if you can't, then there's the shelters, right? You need to know where your shelters are. That's very important, that you know exactly where you can go. Now, once we get to the shelter, all right, so we're open. This is how we do it. We're listening to HMCI. We're getting our updates from the weather service as well. And within 48 hours, we're starting to prepare. Prepared means our shelters are open. We call in our volunteers. It's starting to be prepared. We have our cots, because we do provide cots too as well, right? We make sure that our water is in place, our generators are in place, and usually government assists us with that. They actually do the startup before the hurricane season, making sure that everything is up and running. So our volunteers are there. We prepare our shelters, right? So when you get there, when we say to government, yes, we are ready, and the government puts out that the shelter is open, then we can accept you. Now we ask you that when you're coming, one, if you have any medical needs, we ask you to go to any medical shelter. Red Cross is not a medical shelter. There are a few. I think Prospect is one of those as well. Bordentown is one of those as well.
Now, when you say medical needs,
if, let us say, you need an injection daily,
okay,
right? We wouldn't be able to want to do it. That's something that some people are. Now the shelters, the medical shelters are geared towards that. They can access your records. They know exactly what you need, right? Now, if you come in the period of a storm, we're not going to turn you away. But we are going to inform HMCI that we have this kind of person that may require needs, in case they need to be moved from us.
Okay.
Right? So we're not going to turn you away.
So
right?
if you need somebody to administer any treatment or any treatment, you should go to a medical.
Yes.
If it's something where you have to take certain medication daily that you can take yourself,
you can come to the shelter and we ask you to bring that with you.
Of course,
right? That is very important too as well. Bring whatever medication that you have that you should be taking, right? Because again, accessing, I would say, the pharmacy on when it's a hurricane, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Right? And they need to be aware of that. Now we ask you when you're coming to the shelter, it's not going to be your home away from home. It's just somewhere for you to be comfortable and safe. And that's the most important thing, right? So we ask you to bring a blanket. We ask you to bring maybe a pillow, a cushion, something for your personal needs. We ask you to bring your little snacks, right? Unfortunately, we can't cater to everybody's need that they're coming and I need this, I want that. No, we give you the basic. We make sure you're comfortable and you're safe. We always have Red Cross volunteers who are also first aid trained as well. So in the event that something minor happens or major, we can handle it, right? Again, thanks to HMCI, thanks to Graham and the rest of our team, we are first aid trained right throughout, right? And that's one of the most important things. And we also send first aid trainers to the shelters as well. So in every shelter, they're the Red Cross and they're all first aid trained as well.
Okay, excellent. Because there's, as I understand, there is a bit of a strong focus on ensuring that shelters are being more inclusive. So when it comes to the vulnerable populations, like the people with the chronic illnesses that we talked about, there's certain shelters for them to go to.
Yes.
Okay. What about anybody with mobility challenges? And then there's going to be, for me, the concern of pets.
Oh, and I'm happy to say that we do have 2 pet centers that you can go to with your pets. We actually, John Gray High School is large enough that you can actually have your pets there with you, right? And it's I said segregated enough to say if you need to stay with your pets, you can actually stay with your pets, or your pet can be in a particular area and you can be in another area. So we're quite proud of that.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
I'd have to
So
move my
all
pet.
pet lovers, you need not be afraid, oh, I can't leave my pet. Yes, you can. You can bring your pet to those particular shelters. So that's the first thing. I'm going back to just one more thing. When it comes to medication, right, we are not certified to administer it, right? Let us get clear with that, because people think that because we're first aid trained, we can administer. We don't. We don't practice it, right? If it's something that you do by yourself and you need our assistance, yes, we can. We will. But if it's something that you've come to us to do, we won't be able to do it.
Okay, understood. I just want to go back on if you have mobility challenges, you're a senior person, you might have some mobility challenges. How do you handle that at a shelter?
All right, we have our shelter, as you know, is upstairs, right? So we've had that issue before. Don't worry, we get them up the stairs.
Okay.
Yes, we have able-bodied volunteers, men, who are able to, and the regiment does assist us too as well, right? They actually lift these persons up the stairs and actually help to bring them back down as well.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you have a wheelchair, then we say you go to a lower shelter. John Gray is one of those, Bordentown is one of those, Savannah, depending on your area. So we do have areas that you can go to in the event. And if you can't and you have to come to the Red Cross, we will take you up those stairs.
Okay.
If it's, we can also actually open the thrift shop downstairs, which is always cleared away, and we can use that, which is on the ground floor.
Okay.
If it's a serious mobility problem that we can't get you upstairs for some reason, or like the storm's hitting now, we'll put you downstairs, we'll make you comfortable, we'll put the cots in, and there is a bathroom and everything downstairs as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you guys have thought of a lot here. We got to go to commercial break. This is our final commercial break. We'll come back and wrap our discussion.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Did you know? The Cayman Islands now has a Seafarers Registry, a searchable national database that contains various forms of information about native-born seafarers and their contributions to our rich maritime history. This groundbreaking initiative is the only public resource dedicated exclusively to documenting and archiving the remarkable journeys and achievements of Caymanian seamen. The official launch for this database is Wednesday, June 25th in Grand Cayman and Wednesday, July 10th in Cayman Brac.
The Passport and Corporate Services Office is urging the public to ensure their passports are valid and secured ahead of hurricane season, which begins Sunday, 1st of June, 2025. The public should check the validity of their passports, verify entry requirements, apply or renew passports and visas early and safely. Store important documents in waterproof containers. For more information, contact 345-649-7678 or email passportandcorporate@gov.ky.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. And you know what? We just had a discussion during the commercial break. When did Beryl hit the Cayman Islands. I promise you, in my mind, this is June. I know Graham said July, and he was, once we were like, no, it's June. He was like, all right. Jace was like, it's definitely June.
Yeah.
And now I have to be Googling this to say, when did Beryl hit the Cayman Islands?
It was in July, folks.
Oh man, I just felt it was a lot sooner than that.
But because of the floodings before that,
June
one would have said, yes, we got some seriously heavy rain. Sorry about that. We got some seriously heavy rain that required us to be open.
To be open.
Yeah. Right. I have pictures of those now.
It's okay.
Because
It's all right, Kathy.
He sees my mouth gaping. That's why he said it's okay, Kathy.
Sorry, Kathy.
July 4th.
Yeah, I told you.
You told me after as well, by the way. You guys were both in June.
I said July. I said June.
You're forgiven because
my
of the
mind.
heavy rains before. You're forgiven.
Maybe that's what it was, because there was that
heavy
crazy
rains.
tropical storm or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was June the 8th, the heavy rains,
See?
the first
See,
floods.
you're almost right.
He's
almost right.
You have you're like the calendar man here. You
I've
know
got these
the
dates
dates.
in my head.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I can barely remember yesterday, so I need to take whatever you are taking that helps you focus on dates. I just want to go back. I know, Jameel, we were going to go to a break, and I know you wanted to say something. So if you wanted to touch back on what
Just some
Marsha
quick
was
things.
sharing.
So in total, there's really 23 shelters we have throughout Cayman Islands.
Oh.
Remember, we have 3 on Cayman Brac and 1 on Little Cayman. And we have 19 shelters on Grand Cayman. In addition to that, what we also want persons to know is that we also trained shelter managers. So the procedure is really that hazard management, we would have our shelter managers trained. They will be the ones who will be going to all the other shelters. Red Cross shelter managers would be the ones responsible for Red Cross shelters. However, they act as a support system to the hazard management shelters. Because when those shelters are activated, the shelter managers that we recently trained last weekend, over 100 individuals, they would be the ones who would be dispatched to the shelters. And they would be leading the shelter operational aspect as it relates to all the other government shelters. In addition to that, we'll have our Red Cross stakeholders who will be working with us and supporting us in those shelters. We also have 7 designated EMCs, emergency medical centers, on Grand Cayman. We have 1 on Cayman Brac and 1 on Little Cayman. Emergency medical centers, as Jace rightfully said, we have doctors, trained mental health personnel, we have nurses. Just to clear, those individuals are there in the event of an emergency. They can actually respond to that within the shelter. So that is the main reason we have them there, as a form of, building capacity approach. We also have 2 designated pet shelters for dogs and cats only. So that is John Gray and Clifton Hunter. However, there's a limited capacity of how many dogs and cats they can have. So what we are doing, we are relying heavily on stakeholder collaboration. So we are planning to collaborate with stakeholders concerning our pet shelters. We are actually collaborating with the Disability Council. So the goal is to make sure that our shelters are inclusive. So we're focusing a lot on equity, diversity, and inclusion. So we have plans in place to cater to all those in need. We're working heavily with HSA, the Disability Council. So for example, concerning mental health, we just had recent meetings with the mental health emergency support team. They gave us recommendations to have in the shelters. So in the event these shelters are activated, we actually have, the plan would be to have mental health support systems in place, in addition to the staff, in addition to the volunteers, and simple things. Say if there are persons with a child coming to the shelter and they have sensory issues, you might be bored in a shelter. So we at HMCI, we actually have a youth activity book, and they could come and play and play board games, just keep themselves active. And we're looking at getting other mechanisms in place. So the goal is really like a whole society approach. And lastly, as it relates to preparation, we start off with shelter inspections. HSA, Red Cross, Public Works Department, Department of Environmental Health, Department of Education Services. So most persons don't know these are the things that go on in the background. We inspect these shelters, look for the needs in collaboration with the community, find out what are the needs from the community, and we make sure these shelters are actually up to get. The government, a whole society approach, they make sure everything is up to get in the event we have to be activated. So these are just some of the preparation we have in place as it relates to shelter operations and management.
Now, when you say that, you keep hearing about what the needs of the community are. Now, I know you touched on that earlier when it came to preparing for a hurricane. You're trying to understand what the needs of the community are, which a lot of it was just on how to prepare, that stakeholder involvement, right? So when it comes to the needs in a shelter, which I'm sure are always evolving as are shelter operations, what are those main needs that you're hearing coming from residents that are trying to go to a shelter?
For us, one of the big things we have was, you see, disability, accessibility. Persons are concerned with the vulnerable and the elderly and those individuals. So what we advise persons to do, you are required to walk with your own food, your own medication at these shelters. That is what we share to everyone. However, we believe in resilience and preparation. We have our systems in place, because let's be realistic. If everyone don't walk with these things, that is why we have our systems in place. So we have our food. We have all these things back up. So we have our needs. But the needs is to ensure, think about during an emergency. You here in this room for the next 24 hours, nothing to do, no AC. I'm just saying, we make sure we could supply your needs. So we have properly working generators. So in case power cuts off, our generators could activate. Worst case, if something happens, well, then we may not be able to do anything for that. But that's where collaboration comes into play. This year, we're planning to have public works involved in our shelters. We plan to have teams, DEH involved in our shelters. So it's like a whole stakeholder approach where they are trained government staff. So if something goes wrong with the generator, a public works personnel could actually go and check the generator. The needs of the community is understanding what they need for a comfortable stay at the shelter. It's not perfect hotel stay, but at least to maintain a standard that you all are comfortable. So simple things as making sure that, it might sound simple, right? But persons have sensory issues. Little squishy toys, if you want something to play with in the shelter. We actually working to see if we could get those things. Right now we have a plan. I don't want to say it as yet because it haven't been implemented, but it's to tailor to those with non-verbal issues. So we're working on that right now.
Autistic, a lot of autism.
So it's like those are some of the needs we have, and how we find out those needs. When we have these pop-ups, what do you want to see HMCI do to better serve you? Simple questions. You understand? So you're getting to hear the needs. Every time we do a training, what do you want to hear or see from HMCI to better support you? And when they tell us that, we discuss it in the office. And it's like, our informal needs assessment. And then we see, okay, we have a round table every Tuesday in our department. And then they'll be like, let's serve the community need. And that's it.
I love that. I think it's amazing how it's all working together, how everybody's collaborating and communicating. It's very important. It doesn't always happen. So I think you guys are leading the way in this. And I know it's a tough thing to do because there's a lot of people, a lot of different procedures to manage, right? And when it comes to managing the people, and volunteers are such a huge part of disaster response, right? So for those who do want to volunteer, how can they get involved? Is it too late to do any kind of shelter management training? And what kind of roles or training are available for those that want to help?
Want to go first?
I'll lead on that.
I'll pick up the button afterwards, yes.
So if you want to volunteer for the Red Cross, there's a whole process. But first of all, you register, and the admin building is actually Cayman Commercial Centre, which is on Hospital Road. So if you go in there and you can register, then there's a whole induction that you will go through. And it takes about a year. You know, your time is logged and everything, and then you become the full volunteer. But during that period, we do lots of trainings with you. You'll be getting your DM 101, which is preparedness, resources, response, which I teach every month to new volunteers and to existing volunteers. And then you can, after the year, you can then say, right, I want to go into the first aid training section, or I want to go into the children's support section, which is the mental health area. But you can specialise in these areas within the Red Cross. And we actually have a list of like the disaster managers, volunteers, the general volunteers and everything. The other thing is, even if you're just a Red Cross and you haven't been trained in shelter management or anything, we do often call for backup support from volunteers. We've got lots of different nationalities on the island. We have lots of different nationalities in our volunteers. So speaking their language, if you have people Spanish speaking, Filipinos, etc., we have volunteers that can actually come to the shelter and translate and talk to them as well. So
can I just pop in right now, just right behind him? You don't have to, I have to every week, every month, I have to be there. No. It is done on your schedule, right? When you're available, 2 hours here, an hour here, that, we appreciate it because there's always something to do at the Red Cross, whether it be the thrift shop, or the disaster, whether it be first aid, right? And as you know, we do first aid coverage right throughout the year for events like that because you see us around, right? So that's your way of, getting to know if this is for you, right? Because some people will start it and then realize it's maybe taking too much time or they don't have enough time to dedicate to it. We take you as you come, whatever 2 hours you can give to us, right? And like Graham said, if it's it that you like disaster management, then fine, right? You can specialize in it. I just did the whole thing.
All in.
I'm just all in.
Really like it.
Yes. I'm about to retire now.
No, you can't.
No. I don't see this happening. We're about to hit the 9 a.m. headline news. So I have to get closing thoughts from everybody. If you have any closing thoughts, any whatever message you want our listeners to get out of this discussion that they might have not heard as yet, now's the time.
Well, thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you for the listening audience for having us in today. As HMCI has mentioned, we just want everyone to be prepared. Stay in tune to the reputable news outlets. We know that there might be some others on the periphery, but we want you to stay in tune, as Mr. Jameel said earlier, because the information is going to be coming directly from central government itself, directly out of Hazard Management Cayman Islands. So we want to ensure that everyone stays in tune. For the season, ensure that you're prepared. If you have any needs, please reach out to Hazard Management. They are more than willing to assist and provide some guidance. And other than that, we just want to encourage everyone to stay safe for this hurricane season.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jace. All right, but Jameel's proud of you right here.
Yeah.
I would just like.
He was like, all right, but no worries.
I would just like to add that from the Red Cross point of view, preparedness is the key. Preparation will actually alleviate a lot of your stress as well. And there's an excellent guide that's just come out from the Cayman Compass. You'll see it in the supermarkets and everything. It's called the Emergency Guide. It has all the information you need inside it. It's got where the shelters are. It will tell you what you need for your emergency packs, your preparation packs for at home, etc. I encourage everybody to pick a copy of that up.
And I definitely encourage everybody to go to caymanprepared.ky because right there you can also get all of your information when it comes to preparedness, when it comes to what to do during a hurricane and post-hurricane as well. Your lists, your checklists, everything is there as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning on The Buzz. It was great to have you. We're going to hit the 9 a.m. headline news, and I'm going to have Open Line next.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Airports Authority is doing a full-scale emergency exercise at Charles Kirkconnell International Airport today in partnership with local response agencies. This is to test the preparedness of emergency first responders in the event of a real-life airport or aircraft emergency. The public is advised that the airport and surrounding roads could experience short interruption of traffic. 10 people have died following a shooting at a secondary school in the Austrian city of Graz. Students, at least one adult, and the suspected gunman are among the dead, with several others seriously injured. The shooting happened at a high school in Austria's second largest city. Police say the school has since been secured. Earlier, the chancellor called the shooting a, quote, national tragedy and says there are no words for the pain and grief the country is feeling. The suspected perpetrator was a 21-year-old Austrian man from the area. Officers say he died by suicide in a bathroom at the school. They are still investigating the motive. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning and welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and I want to thank our guests that we had this morning because they were discussions that were very much needed. The insights when it came to Alta and Gordon Solomon, just sharing a little bit of their creative journey, their preservation of Caymanian art, music, writings, and how they pass it on through generations, through their storytelling ability. I cannot wait to have a much longer discussion with them because we were just, it was almost like the preface of a book. Like you're barely touching the surface of what you really want to get into and talk, which is really their creative process. And creatives like them, the relationship that they have is, to me, is absolutely amazing. It's you're not going to find a lot of that in the world. It's a very small percentage of people who can be married and create and work together and do such a beautiful job of it. So I'd really admire what they have going on. We did get a couple of comments from our listeners, and I want to say that in this segment, I am having open line, but given what has taken place with the disappearance of Andrel Harris, I'm not going to lie, it's been really hard to focus. It's been hard to stay engaged, and it's not an easy thing to do when one of your colleagues of several years in person that I personally have collaborated with and done other creative projects with is missing. And that there's now recovery efforts to find him. So in saying that, I want people to keep some things in mind. And there was a post shared by another former colleague of Andrel's, and it just really hit because I think what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what's being repeated to me, some of the stuff is just really inappropriate. And I know during an event like this, we're all going to talk, we're all going to kind of speculate, but a lot of things come out of our mouth, which is just unnecessary and quite disgusting and vile, and really have nothing to do with us. So there was a post that one of his former colleagues had made, and he said, "When you have walked a mile in a man's shoes, or a part of the Holy Trinity, then, and only in those two exclusive circumstances, do you have the authority to judge a man." That said a lot to me. So, despite whatever things you're hearing on the road in accordance to, or in relation to Andrel's disappearance, how we know him as is a very dedicated person to his country, to his industry. He was really passionate about journalism and just investigating things and trying to understand things and getting to the bottom of things. He wasn't a surface journalist. He dug. And there's very few people who dig in Cayman. That comment might rub people the wrong way, but there's very few people who dig, especially the way Andral would with stories. He is a super passionate person. His ability just to have a professionalism about him and a kindness and support. These are all the wonderful things that I'm going to remember about Andral until he hopefully makes it back to us. As you can kind of tell, I'm in a tiny bit of denial of, I don't know if it's denial or just me wanting to believe that he's somewhere and that he'll hopefully come back to us. If you want to share any of your thoughts, which I meant to say this a few minutes ago, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. I did mention that there was a couple comments that we made. And I did start off this segment somewhat, my thoughts aren't all going in the exact direction I need them to, but they can't right now. As mentioned, I'm not very focused. It's really hard to focus. And so I didn't necessarily prepare, take notes, or have certain things of discussion for us to have in this kind of final 20 minutes of the show here, half hour of the show. So if, you can give me a bit of a reprieve and share with me anything that you want to talk about, I'm happy to take your calls, and I'm happy to talk about what's on your mind. The number's again 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp, call, or text 925-3261. There's also 1-800-534-8255, and that's our toll-free line with Flo. So a couple comments that did come in this morning. Morning blessings. Trust you are doing well. An exodus of distinguished teachers have begun. Re the immigration undertaking. So I'm a little curious about that comment, saying an exodus of distinguished teachers have begun. Re the immigration undertaking. I'm curious about that comment from a listener because not everything is set in stone as yet when it comes to the term limits on non-Caymanian civil servants. What has been proposed, from my understanding, your years don't start. Your year one would start now, or January 1st. So why would these teachers be leaving right now when they, from my understanding, would have another 9 years on their plate? So I'm not sure where this person has gotten this information from, or if they're able to give a little bit more context to that comment. But according to them, there's a mass exodus of distinguished teachers leaving the Cayman Islands because of the new immigration policy for non-Caymanian civil servants. Another comment had come in and said, "Good morning, Kathy. Big fan of your show." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The listener went on to say, "With all the sadness and anxiety our community has been experiencing lately, I want to thank you for hosting Alta and Gordon. Their presence was so cathartic. Their voices were soothing to our hurting hearts. I look forward to you having them again very soon. They're true Caymanian gems. Have a blessed day." I absolutely agree with you. They are true Caymanian gems. And we will have a further discussion with them. I promise you that, because as mentioned, it was barely scratching the surface with Alta and Gordon. And there's so much that I want to talk to them about. I think Gordon's a phenomenal artist. It's a rare time when I say, I want to buy those paintings. But his, to me, just really spoke of the essence of Cayman. So, looking forward to having them on the show again. since nobody has taken these couple of minutes here that I said, hey, talk to me. Your girl couldn't focus. Your girl was a little sad and isn't able to, just talk on my own right now. I need your help to do so. So if people don't want to, I understand at the same time. And we'll close the show a little earlier. I do want to remind people that on Thursday on The Buzz, we do have Money Sense in the first half hour of the show. And then following that, we have our monthly discussion with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. So I am sure when Jody Ann Powery comes in here, I know I'm going to be asking a lot of questions that have to do with the disappearance of Andrew's case, which I know because it's an ongoing investigation, she is going to be so limited in what she can answer. But the questions will still get asked. Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more. And for all those out there who are hurting, because I know it is so many of us, please, again, I beg you to be very careful of what comes out of your mouth. I understand, especially of those of us who worked with Andral or are friends with him. There's going to be all sorts of phases, the denial, the anger, the resentment. And I want to remind you to give yourself some grace too. And everybody else that you see hurting. Or are hurting. Or maybe are just masking it very well, but that relationship with Andral was there. Please give people grace. Give yourself grace and give people grace. Stop the rumors. And try to remember and honor him as you would someone that is very dear and close to your own heart. So with that being said, I'm going to end the show a little bit early, maybe about 15 minutes early today. And I say thank you to all of those who were listening this morning to The Buzz and hanging out with me. And especially just in this last 15 minutes here, as I'm a tiny bit emotional, but having, I can't really hide my emotions at all. If you know me, they're on both sleeves, pant legs, everywhere. My face says what is not coming out of my mouth. So there's no way that I can hide any of these emotions. I'm not a stoic person in that sense. And, feelings are a reminder of life in that sense and all of the beautiful struggles that we go through in life. So I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed. I'm just trying to honor my friend and remind everybody else out there to give themselves some grace and others grace who are going through a bit of a grieving process, the very beginning of it. I mean, it's been almost a week since Andrew's been missing. And again, I hope that he is found very soon. Thank you again for listening, and I will be back with you on Thursday on The Buzz.
Cruise into summer with expert service from Automotive Art Cayman. More than a retail store, it's your one-stop auto care shop. We offer paint, detailing, accessories, wheels, Yamaha parts and products, batteries, tire repairs, tire changes, and more. Need top-tier shine and protection? Grab Gliptone detailing gear, Chevron synthetic oil, and Axiom car care kits. Get expert service with premium products all under one roof. Wherever you cruise, make your pit stop at Automotive Art first. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. And Automotive Art Cayman, your car, our passion.
Shaken yet standing firm.